Is out there somewhere, right? Now Congress holding its first hearing on UFOs in half a century. Pentagon officials testifying about declassified videos and flying objects, including one that is, quote, still a mystery.
And is this one of the phenomena that we can't explain?
I do not have an explanation for what this specific object is.
We have our questions. We want to know what's out there as much as you want to know what's out there.
Luis Elizondo is investigated what is out there. He's the former director of the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program and former senior intelligence officer for the Secretary of Defense. Lou, welcome. Great to have you with us today.
So, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
We all were watching this today and listening to Scott Bray, who is the Naval Intelligence Deputy Director, who was speaking. And, you know, we see these little discs kind of floating around on the screens and little tiny dots far away on the video. What did you make of what they shared today?
Well, I think this is just a small sample of what the DoD really has. These are videos that are unclassified, some cases taken from a pilot's iPhone. But there's a lot more compelling video there, and frankly, Congress is aware of it. And so I think you're now seeing this historic step by Congress because they know there's a lot more information there. You know, I think what I find very interesting about this particular hearing, and by the way, I suspect there's going to be more after this, that the DoD really doesn't know yet the full picture of what's going on. I'll give you case in point. At one point, the conversation came up about Maelstrom, which was the famous incident where an entire flight of our nuclear missiles were brought offline by a UFO. And by the way, there's actual U.S. intelligence reporting on it. Besides, you have the eyewitnesses and the flight commanders. The U.S. government's well aware of this incident. In fact, it was considered a breach of national security. And yet, here are our government friends are testifying before Congress saying they have no data on it. And a simple query on the intelligence systems that we have, you can pull the report right up. So that, to me, is a little bit problematic. Furthermore, I think there was some threading of the needle here that I think Congress needs to be aware of. If you notice, they definitely acknowledge the existence of my program, ATIP, and they acknowledge the existence of the Project Blue Book program, which was about 40-some years before mine. But they admitted that they had no data, no information within that gap of time that exists between Blue Book and my program, ATIP. And that's where you're going to find a lot of information. They talk about the task force not having access to materials. Well, that may be true. The task force is only comprised of 2 people. A few months ago, they let the American government know that the task force, this robust capability, in essence, was 2 full-time people.
Yeah, not a lot of dedicated. Really I just want to play very quickly. Yeah. This is the U.S. Navy spotting a UFO on January 20th. Off of the coast of Florida. Let's play this for everybody before we go here.
Oh my gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. Look at that thing. It's rotated.
So, you know, when you look at that, it's not anything that you can identify. Is there any reason to think that it comes from one of our adversaries?
Well, you know, they asked that question, and they said for the record, which is, again, here's an interesting contradiction. They said, we don't think it's alien, and we don't think it's adversarial technology, but then they turn around and they also say, well, we know it's not Blue Force technology. We know it's not our technology. Well, then what does that mean? If it's not our technology, and if it's not enemy technology, and it's not something else, then you kind of back yourself into a corner. It can only be one of those 3 things.
A lot of questions out there. Lou, thank you very much. Yeah, at one point, Scott Bray said there's some of them, you know, are things that you could touch. Some of them are not things that you could touch. So also just raises a whole lot of questions. Thank you. As you say, this is going to go on, and we look forward to hearing more from you when it does. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. My pleasure.